Goodness to you. This is Sporty King, and welcome to Glue Wednesday. And I always say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching it morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to put good in front of parts of your day? I created Glue Wednesday based on how, old school, we used to just say people work Monday to Friday or the weekend. We didn't even talk about flex time, but people obviously used to always do that. But old school rules. But anyway, I decided that, so they just asked, that's why they said that Wednesday was hump day. And I decided, let me put a different spin on Wednesday, because the truth is, regardless of when you work, Wednesday is the middle day of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of when you work. It's the day that keeps the week beginning and the weekend together. So therefore, it's the glue. And it brings us into my favorite pose, and that is a thankful prayer. And that's why I learned to call it GLUE, God's love undoes everything. Not that God's love will tear things apart, but whatever has been torn apart, he will undo that tear and put it back together. Because the truth is, we don't need to hump. We need to keep it together. And that's why I've created Glue Wednesday. Now I'm on the road. I'm on the road to celebrating my Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'm driving probably as you read this with family, and in prepping to create a glue message for you anyway, I started out thinking it was going to be thanks. THANKS. The heart always needs kindred spirits. So good. That's a great Thanksgiving message. And I was going to choose 1 to 2 words per letter to expand upon our giving thanks during this season. However, I kept finding so much more to be thankful for letter by letter that I decided to stretch the thanks out through the end of the year of 2021, because we certainly have more to be thankful for than this American celebration. So what I'll do is I'll give you a different letter of thanks each week, with words beginning with that featured letter, where I have to get those words into the message. Okay, so today's letter is going to be the T, and that's for trust, truth, track, testimony, to, and time. Now, it's been a while since I've mentioned a literary lesson that I got from my spiritual brother, Pastor Wyman Wimbush. You see, for years, I've used the premise of this word play where I've shared my creative formula for attaching words to letters to help with writing poetry, letters, or resumes. But in conversation with him, he was happy to share with me that this is legitimately what's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, where something you recently learned suddenly appears everywhere. Now, it's also called frequency bias or illusion, the seeming appearance of a newly learned or paid attention to concept in unexpected places. So sure enough, I've run into many T words in today's message beyond the 6 that I've chosen. Meanwhile, as you enjoy the message, your senses have been alerted to listen for the T words, for those 6 words. I want you to recognize that you can develop that practice knowing that it's similar to when you attend a conference, a meeting, or a class, and you're looking for certain information as confirmation of why you're attending. And we've done this before. Those of you who were with me last year when we did the GAS series, that's the Glue Alphabet series, where we took a different letter of the alphabet each week, and you gave me words, and I created a message using those. But this is the thing, what that does is when you hear those, when you know that we're focusing on the letter T, every word that I say that begins with a T will kind of hit a spot. But I want you to be listening for those 6, because again, that's what you do when you go in someplace and you're looking for information, okay? So anyway, so what were those 6 words again? Trust, let's see what we got. Trust, truth, track, testimony, to, and time, okay? All right, so here goes our Thanksgiving message. And let me tell you, trust is the first one. And as nice as it would be to trust everyone, you can't. Yet it's not always malicious. So one, don't be disappointed when they let you down, because two, they probably can't do what you need to do, and that is trust yourself. See, a lot of times people don't purposely let us down, don't want to be dishonest, but they don't trust themselves. And that's why it turns out that you can't trust them. So you start out by trusting yourself. Recognize that you've made a lot of good decisions and you're going to make another. In fact, your track record, which is comprised and composed of the things that you've overcome to succeed, has taken the things on your lack record, which is composed of the things you thought you needed to succeed, and turn them into laughs as you learn to separate your needs from your wants. Because what you need is your faith, which is just what we teach little kids. It may not be today or tomorrow, but everything is going to be all right. You need to know that the only thing you cannot do is give up. In other words, you can handle the truth. And the truth is, you consistently have found out how powerful you are, actually in the moment. And you understand that your testimony has always started with a test of that faith where someone or something has placed doubt in your mind, or to put it in another way, someone has helped you forget who you are and whose you are. Which is why throughout the year, I periodically remind you to choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you're carefully being chosen as someone's messenger. So let me take you back to what I opened with about mistrust not always being malicious. I enjoyed hearing my pastor, Stephen Furtick, preach this past Sunday about the 12 scouts that Moses sent to check out the promised land. 10 became gripped by fear and reported that their chances didn't look good. In Numbers 13, 27 through 28, this was their report to Moses. We arrived in the land you sent us to see, and it is indeed a magnificent country, a land flowing with milk and honey. Here is some of the fruit as proof. But the people living there are powerful, and their cities and towns are fortified and very large. We also saw the descendants of Anak who were living there. Anak was a giant. Okay, so those were the 10 who were gripped by fear, and they reported that the chances of taking the promised land weren't too good. But 2, Caleb and Joshua, actually carried the fruit, and they came with their opinion that the land was ripe for the taking. And so in Numbers 13 and 30, but Caleb tried to encourage the people as they stood before Moses. Let's go at once to take the land, he said. We can certainly conquer it. It would become on the strength of the 10 fearful scouts that ultimately the Israelites would return to the desert and be destined to wander for 40 years until that untrusting generation died off. And when in the book of Joshua, it became time to check out the promised land again, this time led by Joshua, only 2 scouts were sent. And that's in Joshua 2 and 1. Then Joshua secretly sent out 2 spies from the Israelite camp at Acacia. He instructed them, spy out the land on the other side of the Jordan River, especially around Jericho. So the 2 men set out and came to the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there that night. And my pastor made a wonderful picture of how when Moses sent the 12, 10 were gripped with fear and only 2 gave the report that was true of what God had said. This is your land. And so Joshua was smart enough. He learned from what Moses did wrong. He didn't send 12. He just sent 2. And so they got a more accurate report. And ultimately, they went in and took the land that had been promised to them. So that's the trust Okay, only the two. So they ended up trusting Rahab, the prostitute, to help them hide and escape before delivering their message of faith that leaned on God's track record to see the testimony add to the truth that not many things, but all things work to the good of God. Do have a safe and festive celebration. Yet do not restrict your thanks to this weekend or any weekend to come. Instead, commit your spirit to constantly seek things and reasons to be thankful. We all smile in the same language. That's a reason to give thanks. And once you get through the food, desserts, seconds, and thirds, don't forget how helpful it might be for you to use the Dawn Key diet. Haven't heard of it? Well, the Dawn Key diet. It's keep your ass out of the refrigerator. I'm Sporty King. Remember, God's love truly does undo everything. And we don't need to hump as much as we need to keep it together. All right. So thanks again for listening. I don't know, does anybody know spam risk? He doesn't know that I'm broadcasting to you. Anyway, but anyway, thanks again for listening to and sharing Glue Wednesday. Please realize that I am a proponent of wearing your mask. And I think it makes a huge difference. It's a good precautionary step to take to help us continue to make gains in the war against the pandemic. Thank you. God bless you. I will not have a Friday gift message, but I'll see you again. If you're keeping up with all of the broadcasts, I'll see you again on the Monday morning message moment. And then again, next Wednesday on Glue Wednesday, when I will feature the letter H. Thanks again. God bless you. Over and out. Ciao.